Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Business Shenanigans, coming to you live, not only on Facebook, but also on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. It helps us out quite a bit. I'm Trent May with May Financial. With me, as always, your Moroccan superhero right there, Mahmoud Batam, Sprout Digital. And with us, welcome back, CJ Jasenski. How's it going, CJ?
Good. How are you guys this morning?
Doing well,
Wonderful.
thanks. I think
Good.
you are the first guest to come back on for an actual shenanigans. Like people have come back
Wow.
on for side things, but you're the first person to come back on for a follow up.
That's because I have business ADD.
Is that it?
That's it. Yeah.
You see, there's just lots of stuff you want to do, right?
There is a lot of things that I want to do. Yes.
So tell us the journey here. Your new business. You can see the website at the bottom. Your new business, Redtail Creative Company. I don't want to start talking about Redtail yet. I want us to talk about your journey. Tell us about the journey.
All right. Well, I was born in a manger. No, I'm just kidding. So I started my career, just right after high school, painting signs and, doing illustration work and things of that nature. I actually started doing artwork, on my own as a child. And then my parents noticed that there was some talent there. So they put me into art lessons whenever I was in either first or second grade with a local artist. And she's actually nationally ranked, renowned. Nancy Foreman. She was painting in oil whenever I worked with her, and then she switched into watercolor. But she's a wildlife artist, and she's very well respected in the art community. And I didn't realize that at the time. I was just drawing little pictures, and she really helped me along, gave me the baseline. So art has always been a big part of who I am and what I do. So whenever I got out of high school and started in college, I needed a part-time job, and I worked in restaurants and things like that. But I always had little side gigs where I was painting signs or doing some basic graphic design. Because back whenever I graduated from high school, nobody had a computer yet. Everything was manual. So I was, hand painting signs and doing all of those things. And then a friend of mine, her sister had a primitive doll company, and she asked if I could illustrate the dolls. I was like, oh man, I don't want to illustrate baby dolls, but they were primitive. It was like when the country market was pretty big, and primitive's pretty cool. It's pretty funky stuff. And so she would make these dolls, and they were real basic, but like they might have like a nut for a head or something, and it was really really cool. So at that point I did a lot of black and white illustration with rapidograph, so pen and ink, and that's exactly what she wanted. So she would drop the dolls off to me, and I would do the illustrations of them, and then she would create these pattern books. And she got a pretty good reputation around the United States. She would go to this quilt market out in Philadelphia every year, and so my stuff was starting to get some attention. And then from there, I picked up a couple other clients that had seen my illustration work, and I was still going to college, and decided that I wanted to go, full force into illustration for a while. And she suggested this company called Gooseberry Patch. Well, Gooseberry Patch was like a country catalog. It was started by two ladies in Delaware, Ohio, and it was the whole catalog was illustrated. So every product that they had, there was no photographs. It was an illustration of the product in watercolor, and it was pretty amazing. And so they actually hired me on full time. I was their first in-house illustrator, and I worked there for about a year. But the pace, I was used to illustration being my side gig, and the pace was pretty grueling. So it was 10 to 12 full color illustrations a day, or black and white illustrations, and that's a lot. So after about a year, I decided that wasn't really my path, and I decided to go a different direction. So I stopped working there and relocated to Oxford, Ohio, and got another degree. I was a habitual college student there for a while, but got another degree from Miami. And I was there initially as a marketing um, major, and then switched it to a minor because I fell in love with art and architectural history. And so that became my major, and that's what I graduated with a minor in business management and a minor in marketing. So then whenever I got out of there, I actually drove truck for Beaky Foods for a little while, and just pieced things together. But I've always, like I said, always had side gigs and always had these clients that kept coming back to me for illustration. But over time, it kind of waned. And the illustration market today, you've got social media, you've got websites, you've got all of these things. But at that point in time, if you were going to make it an illustration, you had to have postcards printed, and you had to send out to all of these places and potential illustration work. And it was grueling. It was not easy. It really thinned the flock, and I was part of the flock that got thinned. So I really concentrated, as a creative person. I found that it didn't always have to be illustration, but creating something. And I really got excited about creating businesses. I used to read Inc. magazine front to back and back to front like crazy, and it would get me
Great
so
magazine.
excited. Yes. And in the early days, it was really the only resource that was talking about entrepreneurism and new businesses and things like that. So at one point in time, I opened a deli here in Greenville, and that we had that open for not real long. Then sold out of that, and my wife and I moved to Columbus and worked for a doll company. I have a doll theme for some reason, but these were actual like baby dolls. So they hired me on to go out and build or site manage all of these baby nurseries they were putting into Macy's department stores. They had a contract with Macy's, and the company was Lee Middleton. So if anybody out there had a Lee Middleton doll or knows what I'm talking about, it was a big deal. These babies looked very real. So I would fly to a store, and most of them were south of the Mason-Dixon line, and that was an experience in itself too. But I would go in, assess the store, figure out where it was going to be located in the store, and then come back, draw up the plans, and then send it off to the manufacturer, and they would build a baby nursery in pieces and then ship it out. And then I would return, oversee the installation, and then train all of their workers how to be a nurse in the baby nursery. And the best part was, I had all kinds of extra time. I was drawing, doing illustrations, taking photos or whatever, and I got to see a ton of places in the United States I probably would have never gone. So that was a really great thing. And then then I worked for Fitch. Fitch is a design firm in Columbus. They had like 7 locations at that point in time, like London, Tokyo, and then Columbus. It was kind of strange that they were in Columbus, but Columbus was a big marketing advertising hub at one point in time. So I worked there as a project manager. I went through the design of the interior designers for whatever project it was, and they would want to put like $8,000 couches, because they were interior designers, into the lobby of a bank, like a satellite bank, a little bank in a grocery store or something like that. And so I would find something comparable, same materials or something along those lines. Long story short, I did implementation. So I got a real diversified base of experience. And then all along, I had been working in restaurants, and had the restaurant myself. And Ted Abney got a hold of me and said, "Hey, you want to come back and run the bistro?" Whenever he first was planning to open it. So we came back into town, and that's how we ended up back in Greenville. And then after that, I started my own business, and that was I I've had like 3 major names since I've been back here, and that was square one. And I was working in some real basic website design that Yahoo was putting out there for free. It was a real simple platform. Started kind of working more in branding and building logo designs and things of that nature. And then one thing led to another. I changed it to Project 120 because by then we had bought a building downtown, and my wife had the yoga studio in there. So the address was 120 and it was real original. So I've named it Project 120, and did a lot of early website design, but really wasn't concentrating on that as much as logos and brochures and things like that. And so through that period, I saw a huge blow up of the internet. Wix came along. I started working in Wix. I had a lot of clients that would come along and want new branding. So I would build it for them and say, hey, give this your webmaster to get on your website. Well, I don't have access to my website. I don't know how to get in there. He hasn't talked to me for 3 years. It was kind of a tough situation for small businesses because they were paying a lot of money every year for these websites, but nobody was allowing them in. And they were also being ignored whenever they would request changes. So with Wix, I saw the opportunity for people to go in and work on their websites themselves. So I kind of switched gears and dropped a lot of the brand building, and just started building these little websites for local businesses. And that's gone pretty well. And then I switched the business name to 120 Design, which made it a little bit easier for people to say and remember. And then that brings us to where we are now. So the building that we owned, we actually sold early in the pandemic, which was kind of amazing. But anyway, so we no longer had the building, but yet I still had a business named after it. And I just felt like it was time to cut ties with that. And I also wanted the opportunity to have a business or a brand myself that encompassed all that I do. Because I do artwork and I do illustration and I do some design work still. And then the websites, I wanted something that encompassed all those things. And that's where Red Tail evolved from.
I like that. I like how you, your brand was kind of like a sub brand. And now you kind of like grabbed all those pieces of the puzzle that make your brand and you put them together. It was, the creative was over here, the web designer was over here. Now you just like consolidated everything. Really nice.
Yeah, I felt like I had to start fresh in order to pull it all together because it seemed like it just didn't want to blend in with 120. Mm-hmm. And so I think that Red Tail is a great opportunity to pull all of those things together, whether it's physical art, paintings, or sculptures, or whatever I do, plus all the other design work that I do. So, yeah, I'm really excited about the change, and it's nice to be able to retire 120 in a positive way. It's just going to kind of fade away. And my clients up to this point in time have been very receptive, and they're excited about the opportunities for more and diversified things.
Awesome. You've done illustration. You're kind of like a veteran illustrator. Like you illustrated back then and you still do it now. Can you tell us a little bit about that transition from traditional illustration to digital, which is what you're doing right now? Like, are you still doing traditional? How did that switch go? How did that transition go?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I got an iPad Pro several years ago, and before that I had a Wacom tablet, which I used with real basic illustration things. I would actually hand illustrate something in black and white, then scan it in, throw it in Illustrator, and then color it in there. But then whenever the iPad Pro came along, and then Procreate, which is an amazing graphic design, or not even graphic design, but illustration program app, and it's $10. It's amazing. It's very powerful, and it's changed my world. I wouldn't have even considered like trying to maintain some sort of a career with doing illustration the way I was doing, by having to scan things in and colorize them and all those things. This makes it so easy. So it's one thing that I've learned throughout my career is that something new is going to be coming along any day now, and you better adopt it to some level, or you're going to be left in the dust. So there's several illustrators that I follow. There's 3 of them. They actually have a podcast called 3 Point Perspective. And Will Terry, he's a little bit older than me, but he started out the same way that I did. You know, hand rendered illustration, sending out the postcards, getting the work that way, but the thing is, he stuck with it, and and as a result, he's sitting pretty good. And he's been doing children's books, and he did a lot of commercial illustration for advertising and things like that through the years.
Can you remind people? Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, long story short, he has totally adopted digital, and so I've been on the digital train here for a couple years, but now I'm starting to feel the need to get the watercolor set out and do some hand rendered stuff too. So I think it's always going to be a mix for me, and I think that's because of where I started.
Okay, so you still do both.
Yeah.
Can you remind people of your portfolio? You have a portfolio on Instagram, I believe, where you keep like all your work. Can you? We need the link to that because people really need to see what you make on.
Yeah.
When it comes to illustrations. It's
Artski.
Artski, that's right.
Yeah. So just look up ARTSKI, and so the first one is Artski Illustration, I think, and then I also have Artski Abstract. And so the Artski Abstract is pure digital. The Artski Illustration is more. It may not even be illustration. I don't know. I go to it, but I don't pay much attention to it. Let me see here. Well,
CJ,
I'll look it up
Artski.studio. CJ Jasenski. Yep, got it.
Yeah. And then I have another one that it's kind of random. It's iRubbish. So it's i.rubbish.
Yep.
And that one is, near me. For people that are local, they know of Ted's place over here on Walt, or what is that? It's right there by the Montessori school. It's like the junk place. He's always got stuff sitting out there. And so I walked the dog in the morning, and I started finding all these interesting shapes in the trash, it's not really trash. It's things to be recycled. I found all these interesting shapes and shadows and all that kind of stuff. So I started taking pictures with my iPhone, and I think I have about 1,000 of them on there.
iRubbish.com or that?
No, it's on Instagram as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I've got it here. I'll post it here in just a second.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah, I should have sent those links to you guys, but
yeah, really impressive stuff.
Thank you.
When you were talking about illustration, obviously I don't know much about illustration, but then when I went into your Instagram, I'm like zooming in, I can see like the detail and everything that you've put in there. It was pretty impressive. So it's definitely worth sharing.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, and I've got the links to those in the comments. You can see those comments on Facebook or YouTube. And earlier, Rick Garrett said, great interview. It's a challenge for those of us who do a lot of different things to find that umbrella to sit under.
Yes. And we almost seem like we've got some mental disorder. Because, my family, all very traditional people, none of them are artists, didn't really understand that I was doing this for a while and I was doing that for a while and I'm doing this. And I'll probably just do that the rest of my life. It's funny because the artist that I mentioned that I trained under starting in like first or second grade, I ran into her at the grocery the other day, and she made a comment that really almost released some things for me. And she said, because she is nationally renowned, I mean, she's highly ranked, she's very well respected. I've always thought that her work was amazing. And she said, I was never trying to be famous. I just wanted to create.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then she went on to say, she's like, if in the history of art, the 20th century is only going to have about a paragraph. And she's like, my name's not going to be in it. And I was like, oh, yeah. So it kind of takes the pressure off a little bit. That's one thing that I've found is before the internet, you could be kind of locally famous, regionally famous, getting some respect and people wanting to see your work and buying into it. Now you're competing with people all over the world. And there's some amazing talent out there, and it gets really overwhelming to a certain extent, especially for somebody like myself who has kind of left it and is coming back to it. It's like, oh crap, I'm really behind the game. Do I match up? Do I, whatever? And I think ultimately you just have to be happy with being able to participate in it and do what you can. Enjoy the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because none of us are going to be, I'm not going to be Picasso.
So you can create for sure. Yeah, you're basically just focusing on creating.
Although, did you create those two over your right shoulder? Those are pretty cool.
These?
Yeah.
Actually, this is one of the photos from Ted's. So it was an old stove that was sitting there, and that's the old timer that was on it. The one in the corner is actually a friend of mine from high school. That's her name's Molly Moat. And her dad owned Moat and Associates here in town, and she is a printmaker, and so that was her major. And her parents rolled their eyes about that too, but but she's actually an art teacher in Indianapolis now. So
cool.
But the ones up above then are my sons.
Okay.
He's 15, and those are probably 4 or 5 years ago now, but. Yeah, so that's the other thing. That's been really interesting to move over and make room for somebody else that's producing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while, Emily will look at me and be like, "Were you like this? Was there just stuff everywhere? Was there?" I was like, "Yeah, he's getting it all down pat." So
let's chat about Red Tail here. There's your logo. Can you tell us about the name?
Yeah, so Red Tail is my, to make a long story short, if you're into totems and things like that, Red Tail hawks are my totem. And so they always seem to appear like on my journey. And it's funny because we'll leave town and we'll be heading down 49, and inevitably we'll see one sitting on a electric line or something. And my kids are always like, "There's your hawk, Dad." So for the longest time, it was just kind of like our family thing we talked about. It was my deal. And I was trying to come up with a name for this new business that kind of, encompassed everything. And when we went on vacation, I saw a red tail whenever we started our journey to Florida, and I saw one on the way back. So I was like, why don't I just name it Red Tail Creative? And so that's where the name came from.
Very cool.
Nice name.
So, what are you looking to do here? I know we've kind of covered this a bit, but like moving forward, really, what's your Cliff Notes version here of Red Tail Creative?
Ultimately, if I could do anything and make enough money to feed all these people that live in my house, I would just write and illustrate children's books.
Okay. It's really cool.
And then, if there's an occasional project, and I've got over 200 websites that I've finished. So that's 200 clients. And, they come back to me for this, that, and the other over time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd probably still just help maintain their stuff, but I don't know that I would take on new projects as far as website design goes.
Mm-hmm. And you do have, obviously, like a network of people that you've been working with, like companies. Like when you say art, design, consulting, and coaching, it's you and a team and a network of other professionals that do that stuff.
Yeah, that's all me. As far as the coaching goes, that comes down to that's really probably concentrated more on development of projects for clients. I ran into so many clients will come to me and they'll say, "I'm starting a new business. I want this, this, and this." And I'm like, well, whenever you go to put a website together, which, as you know, Mahmood, there has to be some functionality there, and it has to match up with what you're offering within, regardless of what type of business it is. So there's some organizational things there. And I found myself coaching these people saying, if they came to me, which I don't build online shops at this point in time, but when I did, they would come to me and say, well, I want an online shop. And I would say, well, how many times a week are you going to ship? Oh, well, do I have to ship every day? No, and so we go through that. And then, okay, who's going to pack these things up and ship them out? Oh, yeah. And I would say about 90% of the time, they didn't end up getting an online shop because there's so many things that they didn't think of. So from a coaching perspective, whether it's that or they've got a new product idea, I found that I have a really good strength in helping people pull it apart. And I also have the real world experience of helping them implement it into the marketplace. Now, I don't do all of that myself by any stretch, and so I pass people along. So from that perspective, I do have a network of people that I'm passing, someone along to if they need someone to help them build an inventory system or inventory software or, something along those lines. But then as far as the consulting goes, consulting is a little bit more of a hard sell because people want to hear your experience, but they don't want to pay for it necessarily. So, and even coaching, they're kind of like, oh, well, I just thought you were talking to me. Well, I just helped you save about, 6 weeks worth of headaches and, that kind of thing. And that is a value. So I'm working on building my confidence on presenting that to people and getting paid for it. But that is those two things are definitely all me. And then the artwork's just a bonus. I don't really foresee a lot of people coming to me wanting commissioned art. I'm not going to draw a picture of your dog. I'm not.
Come on.
I'm not going to paint your family picture on the wall. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that, but I do know some people that will. So I'll pass you along to those people. I want to produce the artwork that I want to produce and put it out there, and I want you to buy it. If you don't want to buy it, just look at it. That's fine. But that's the art perspective as far as Red Tail goes.
That's so cool.
Love it.
Check out his site. It's scrolling there across the bottom. CJ, do you have, this is probably a stupid question, but do you have a piece of paper and like a pencil ready?
I do.
Okay. We've started a new challenge here at the end of Business Shenanigans, which Mahmood doesn't stand a chance today. But we've been doing an art challenge at the end of these against Mahmood. So far, Mahmood is 1 and 2. So,
okay.
Seeing as how Mahmood's going up against an actual artist today, and his record is 1 and 2, I'm not feeling too good about you today, Mahmood.
I didn't even have time to train.
All right, let me get my clock up. Also, while I'm getting my clock up, I'm going to move Mahmood to the center here real quick. Show him your shirt.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
There we go.
Business Shenanigans
nice.
shirt. If you want, so far we haven't made Business Shenanigans shirts. They're just for Mahmood and I.
Yeah.
If there's some real interest out there in a shirt, let us know. Drop it in the comments. Send us a message. And if we get enough interest, maybe we'll start actually making these things.
They're nice.
They are nice shirts.
Really soft.
Super soft. I was surprised at how soft they were.
Yeah.
If you care about that sort of thing. But all right. It's going to be 30 seconds on the clock. Your challenge is to draw a picture of 2 dogs having a heated argument over their dog food.
Oh, boy.
They don't like the brand or something. Ready? Go.
Oh, come on.
All right, 30 seconds on the clock. They're drawing a picture of 2 dogs. They're having a heated argument over their brand of kibble. They must be millennial dogs. They're pretty picky about what they're eating. Maybe one wasn't grass-fed. I don't know.
CJ, you're going down. I got this.
Oh, you're winning. I can tell.
Oh, boy. This is going to be amazing. I just drew.
This is not looking good at all.
Mine is looking amazing.
Right,
you're going down, CJ. I know you're an artist and everything, but this is going to just blow you.
All right. Time's up.
Hold on. I think I just drew 2 rats.
All right. What you got, CJ? Today was kind of a hard one. I upped it a bit since we had CJ on here.
All right.
Oh man, that's good.
Oh,
I like
that's
that.
terrible, man. Look at this. Look at this beauty over here. Look at this. Hold on. Look at
Oh,
this.
that's great.
Huh?
Is that what dogs look like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have that.
They look like rats. Yep.
We have
They
that.
look like
And
rats.
CJ, show yours again.
Oh, put those dogs away, dude.
I'm sorry,
this is it.
Mahmood, but you're 1 and 3.
Not fair.
Well, for the, I loved the sheer fact that CJ's looked like dogs.
Uh-huh.
I loved the extended hand. I mean, that won it for me.
Well, he's pointing at that food. He's like, man, this is not right.
Show that again, CJ. Show that again. My question to you is, how can you whip that out in 30 seconds?
30 seconds.
That's amazing. That's why I keep telling people, go see his portfolio, because it's, I don't know, man, if you can do that in 30 seconds.
This one's yelling. This one's like, I don't know what the big deal is. I just ate something. I don't even know what it was out in the yard. So why are you complaining about food?
Yeah,
and they already have a backstory. I love it.
Well, yeah. Oh, that's where the writing comes in. Yeah, yeah. Actually,
impressive, man.
I will announce I've got a book series. It's based on my daughter. I'll get to that eventually. I've been having a hard time like figuring a couple things out. So, needless to say, I'm going to do this other book. It's Pete. What is it? Pete the
cat?
No, not Pete the cat.
Are you plagiarizing?
Pete the peculiar pigeon.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, Pete the peculiar peacock. He's actually a pigeon whose egg fell into the peacock cage. He was raised as a peacock, and he can't figure out why he's different from everybody else.
Well, when that is ready, let us know.
That's pretty cool.
And jump back on here.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I want to go with a publishing house, to be honest with you. I have looked into self-publishing. It's not – I really don't want to do that. But this one I may have to just to get it started to have something in my portfolio. But, yeah, so stay tuned. Pete the Peculiar Peacock.
Yeah, definitely definitely let Business Shenanigans know when that's ready to go. And
I will.
All right, CJ, thank you for jumping back on with us today. It's always a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, always fun, dude.
Yeah. So do I get my own channel now? It seems like everybody has their own channel these days.
Hey, just reach out to us.
No.
If you want a channel, it's yours.
Guys.
All right,
thanks. Have a great day.
You too.